On Labour Lens this week, International Labour Organisation ILO holds Global Summit in Geneva, while the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers NUPENG picket Energy Company in Lagos and Port Harcourt over alleged anti-labour practices. Also on the show this week, House of Representatives probes sack of the Chief Executive of Nigeria's Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF. Minister of Labour apologizes to the Senate over rift in the planned 774,000 jobs for Nigerians. The man leading the local government workers in Nigeria is my guest on the program today. Hello and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. Let's take a moment.
Mounting tension due to the face-off between members of the National Assembly and the Ministry of Labour was effectively quelled with the minister's unreserved apology to lawmakers.
We are enjoying a good and robust relationship with the legislature. And we do not want some of us who have passed through this institution, we do everything that is possible to maintain that relationship. Therefore, Mr. Senate President, I apologize on behalf of the ministry for what took place at the last time. And I hope this apology will be taken by the members of the committee and the entire National Assembly.
But his colleague, the Minister of State, Festus Keyamo, who had been in the eye of the storm, appeared dissatisfied and unhappy. But that did not stop the lawmakers from mending broken bridges, with the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, declaring all previous actions null and void.
There's no way we can pass 52 billion naira and then not take interest in how this money will be spent. In fact, only NDE can undertake the procurement process. You can't in the ministry. Our committees were right to request for explanation on the modalities. We stand by our committees. And the suspension of the program, we are in total support. In fact, any action taken before now is null and void. You are now going to start it all over. You said there is need for a fresh start.
Back before the committee, its chairman made it clear that the rights to implement the project remain solely in the purview of the NDE, and the ministry is meant to only oversee its affairs.
We still stand by the statement of His Excellency the President of the Senate and the Chairman of the National Assembly that the NDE, National Director of Employment, should go back, get ready with their work plan, come back to the Joint Committee and brief us so that let's know what is happening with the recruitment of 1,000 per local government as far as this program is concerned.
We have done this before. We have done pilot studies in 8 states. We did it successfully, and it was based on the success recorded that Mr. President decided to make it all over the Federation, covering all the 774 local governments. We are used to this. We have ways of doing this thing, and we are going to do it.
But Festus Keyamo is not backing down, as he accuses the National Assembly of attempting to hijack the program and awaits further directives from Mr. President.
If you look at Section 15 of the NDE Act, they said the minister may give directives of a general nature to the NDE. In other words, you cannot even do a work plan without coming back again to the minister. The third point is that by virtue of my appointment as minister, the president gave a directive in October last year saying that I should go and supervise generally the activities of the NDE.
On the 1st of July, a letter signed by Chris Ngige as the Minister of Labour and Employment announced the suspension of the entire management of the Nigeria Social Investment Trust Fund. The team was accused of infractions of financial regulations and procurement procedures. In a swift reaction, the NSITF management insisted the minister lacked the power to sack or suspend it. Before now, the former managing director of Transmission Company of Nigeria was relieved of his position by the Minister of Power in controversial circumstances. This is why Kogi legislator Leke Abejide, through a motion of urgent public importance, demands an end to what he calls indiscriminate sack of CEOs of agencies by ministers in contravention of a presidential directive.
Once you are appointed into any position, you just use the position because the power is being given to you. You use it the way you like, and then you cause problem for the country. All these people that are being removed from office, they have families, they have dependents.
Other legislators contributed to the debate, with James Faleke accusing Mr. Ngige of abuse of office.
I investigated NSITF. I can tell with all certainty the chairman of NSITF now is the crony of the minister. They submitted the budget of NSITF to him. He single-handedly uttered the figures. And when the men and women at that agency protested, he threatened to remove them.
Very weighty allegation. If true, it's problematic. If not true, it's problematic.
In another motion, the lawmakers urged the federal government to create a special court for the prompt trial of sex offenders.
There is need for accelerated hearing and prosecution for rape, sexual and gender-based violence cases in court.
Members of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers (NUPENG) simultaneously picketed Office of Variant Energy Services in Lagos and Port Harcourt over alleged anti-labor practices. They defied heavy downpour to carry out this task. Members of NUPENG insist that the two separate peaceful protests at Victoria Island, Lagos, and the Trans-Amadi layout Port Harcourt were expedient due to anti-labor practices by the company. Despite the rain, the inscriptions written on their placards still passed their message to the management of the company.
We are here because of one Mr. Adono.
The chairman of NUPENG Lagos Zone, Tayo Aboyeji, says action of the company is against global best practices, decency, and integrity in the oil and gas industry.
Our demand is that you should just come out and pay our workers, our members a statement. If he refuses to pay, we continue to come here, we continue to embarrass him. We continue to call his names because somebody that run away with workers' entitlements, original thief.
How can you retrench workers and you refuse to give them their entitlements? And of course, even the sack is without due process because ordinarily, NUPENG is supposed to be aware if you're going to lay off our members. But we're not aware of this.
Efforts to reach the management of Variant Energy to get their side of the story failed, as the Human Resources Manager requested a message but did not respond to the one sent. The affected workers want the management to honor the path of peaceful negotiation. They frowned at the use of COVID-19 pandemic and slide in the price of crude oil as part of the excuses to perpetrate anti-labor practices.
More than 50 heads of states and government, as well as heads of United Nations bodies and international agencies, took part in the Leaders' Day by the International Labour Organization as part of global discussions on coronavirus and the world of work. The summit, which was held virtually, conveyed messages by world leaders on the challenges facing the world of work. The Director General, Guy Ryder, UN General Secretary Antonio Guterres, and Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros, and President of the Swiss Confederation deliberated on how to address the economic and social impacts of the pandemic. They agreed that the outbreak has exposed the extreme vulnerability of millions of workers and enterprises.
these messages will provide us with invaluable guidance and encouragement in our efforts to overcome the pandemic and to address effectively and urgently its impact on the world of work.
No country can solve this crisis alone. We are in this together. Strong, effective multilateral solutions matter more than ever. From the beginning, the United Nations has called for massive global support for the most vulnerable people and countries. A rescue package amounting to at least 10% of the global economy.
More than 136 million people are employed in the human health and social sector. All of them have the right to decent working conditions and protection of their health and safety.
The Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund and the Director General of the World Trade Organization spoke extensively on social and environmental solidarity. They insisted that world economies will thrive if there are strong partnerships among governments, international institutions, employers, and unions.
Building a bridge to recovery will require global social and environmental solidarity. We can only succeed if we work together. Strong partnerships between government, international institutions, employers, and unions will be critical.
We can choose to build back economies that are more resilient, more inclusive, and more sustainable, or we can risk long years of stagnation and anger. To lay the foundation for a strong recovery, countries' monetary, fiscal, and trade policies must pull hard and pull in the same direction. And these must be accompanied by labor policies and social investments to ensure that no one is left behind by economic change.
Let's expand the conversation on the program with the discussion on the controversy trailing the planned 774,000 jobs for Nigerians and how health workers at the grassroots can contribute to flattening the coronavirus pandemic in the country. Joining me on the program is the National President of NOGE, Comrade Ibrahim Khalil. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
A lot is happening in the country at the moment, but very quickly, let's address the issue of the planned 774,000 job by the Ministry of Labour. Can you tell us what's the position of NOGE as regards this planned jobs for Nigerians?
Well, as far as Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees is concerned, we see the project of federal government to employ 1,000 workers per each of the 774 local government as a right step in the right direction. It's a welcome development, and it's a project that will definitely impact positively in the lives of Nigerians, too many Nigerians. And for deciding to base the program by the number of local government, it means they are trying to domesticate the program at the rural areas. So that is the target. And by creating this opportunity, a lot of things are going to definitely be of benefit. And on another hand, we see it as fulfillment of the federal government of Nigeria, the APC government, of one of its strong and leading campaign promises. So it's a welcome development, and I believe no right-thinking Nigeria will go against it.
So can you tell us, how do you think the Local Government Workers Union can actually make this a reality?
Well, it depends on the level of involvement of the local government workers in the program. If you can see, in most cases, that is what we have been complaining. A program that's supposed to be synergized with local government as a tier of government, in most cases, the local government are not involved, the local government are not carried along. If you look at the template already that is before the Federal Ministry of Labour and the federal government at large, there is no place where local government responsibility or role is mentioned. as far as this recruitment is concerned. And this is a very important element of missing link in most of the programs, either of state government or federal government. And that is why, in most cases, no matter how beautiful a program or project may be, without involving the people the rural area trust, the people they know, the people they understand, they see most of this program and projects as an alien or an elite initiative. But in any way, it's a good project, it's a welcome development, and I believe with development unfolding, every local government is going to produce 1,000 workers as far as this project is concerned, and that will go a long way in reducing even the number of unemployed youths who turn to be a great threat to peaceful coexistence in the country.
Okay, now we are very much aware that the modalities has been causing rifts between the Ministry of Labour and Employment and the National Assembly. How do you think they can actually address this issue to ensure that the ordinary Nigerians are the ones that will actually benefit from this laudable project, if we must call it that way?
The rift you are talking about, we from the union will look at it as a welcome development as well. It's to the advantage of the project, it's to the advantage of Nigerians. When the two elephants are fighting, it is the grass that suffers. That is the popular adage. But in this situation, the two elephants will be fighting while the grass will grow higher. Because what is happening, Sharon, what we have been advocating, what we have been campaigning, what we have been telling Nigerians and people in governance is what is missing, and is what is missing even in this project that is causing this rift. In any decentralized arrangement, the ingredient that stabilize the operations of governance in decentralized arrangement is intergovernmental mechanism that brings the different arms of government, different departments, different agencies to synergize in their work. But in Nigeria, this very important, mechanism is missing. What ordinarily ought to be done is that when the federal government decided to engage 1,000 workers per local government, the first point of call, for God's sake, should be those local governments. There should be a link between federal government,
the executive, and the local government.
Project of that nature. Because this is a project of the federal government, it's not a state government project. So there must be a mechanism that will be used whenever there is a program or project of federal government that have bearing with rural areas or local governments.
So there will be that connectivity.
Connectivity, exactly, Sharon. So if you go to any federal arrangement, they use intergovernmental mechanism to create a kind of synergy between the central government and the local government, between the central government and the state government, between state government and local government, between even NGOs and federal government, state government, and local government, and the case may be, and between one local government and another local government, either within the state or outside.
So if this project is successful, how do you think it would affect the lives of an average Nigerian, and what impact would the jobs that the service that they'll be rendering to Nigerians, what impact would it be to us?
The way we are looking at it is that 1,000 youths precisely are going to be engaged. That is a very good number per local government. And we have been complaining that because of, poor inclusiveness in governance, a lot of youths are made to become too redundant in the rural areas. And because they don't have anything to do, and most of them are graduates, either they finish their first degree, some even finish the second and third degree, and they have nothing to do. So because of that, that creates the huge rural-urban migration. By engaging 1,000 people, certainly a lot of them will have something to fall back on, and that will make them, will give them some hope. And by having some hope, they will be a good Nigerians. They will think positively. And don't be surprised that some of them may even save throughout the period of this program and maybe establish their own personal businesses. Yes, and it will reduce the issue of rural-urban migration I'm talking about, which is the key source of, recruitment into any criminal groups, any gang of criminals. Because people migrate from rural areas to urban areas without any job to do. By reaching there, they meet other number of unemployed youths roaming about on the street. Before you know it, they start forming themselves into gang of criminals.
Okay, moving.
So sincerely, it will add in stabilizing the security situation in the country. It will even add tremendously in our economic activities in the country.
Moving forward into other issues, coronavirus pandemic is ravaging the world, and of course Nigeria is also recording more number of cases. There's this assumption that more health workers are being infected and that local government workers are not engaged properly. And if they are engaged properly, probably they'll be able to help with contact tracing and collection of samples. What's your take on this?
Yes. Actually, the issue of coronavirus pandemic in the first place is not supposed to be seen or restricted to the medical aspect of it or the health aspect of it. It has so many dimensions. It has to have a holistic approach. By having a holistic approach, you need so many hands to work on it. If you look at the issue of coronavirus in Nigeria, the major challenge is even to get Nigerian people to believe that the pandemic exists. Up to now, majority of Nigerians didn't believe that this virus exists. So we need to do a lot of advocacy, a lot of enlightenment, a lot of work within our rural communities to ensure that people at the rural areas are on the same level with elites in Abuja and Lagos. And for you to achieve that, Sharon, you must have some committees all over the local governments. There must be similar NCDC at local government level, where people that are trusted, people that are well known by the rural communities, the rural people, are made members of such committees. By so doing, you are bringing the people to the level of the elites. But if you go to rural area, I'm a rural man. As I'm talking to you, I'm talking directly from my community. I'm talking from within. And the people are saying different things, while elites in Abuja and Lagos are saying different things. So up to now, the level of awareness is very low. So for you to achieve this, you must have a holistic, all-inclusive committees of maybe community and mobilized community workers, social
public health
community
workers
and social department. They should be involved. Associations and unions like ours should be also equally involved.
We agree that we are at the community transmission stage. What can the union do as a matter of urgency to ensure that there is more enlightenment at the local government level to ensure that everyone is aware of the dangers of the virus and, of course, play their own part in flattening the curve?
Sharon, I believe our union at local government level have been doing a lot, but we are limited to our membership. We really engage our members, we educate them in all the local government, and to some extent we even produce the mask and even the hand sanitizers in most of the branches of the country, in 774 local government. We distribute it to our members. We try to educate them how to protect themselves and protect their family. But when you are talking of the local government as a tier of government, it goes beyond the issue of knowledge. That is why I'm talking of inclusiveness in approaching the issue. And unless the government wake up and make it inclusive one, I'm telling you, Sharon, only God knows what will happen as far as this pandemic is concerned. Because in a situation whereby up to this time, people didn't believe of its existence, and government is only, giving account in Abuja and Lagos, and probably headquarters of state government or of various states. You can see the gap is very wide. Like I said, you use the same people from the same community to achieve whatever you want to achieve in that particular community. But if you bring people from the same community that understand the community very well, maybe they earn some respect from the community by seeing few people, few individuals within a particular local area, everybody will agree with it.
Very quickly, sir.
Yes.
You have been an advocate for financial autonomy at the local government level. How do you think financial autonomy, that is the full implementation of financial autonomy at the local government level, would help contain the spread of coronavirus?
Sharon, if local governments, 774 local government in Nigeria, are financially autonomous, maybe democratically also autonomous, by maybe having their leadership coming from the community itself, not appointees of the government, of the state. I'm telling you, even the issue of engaging or job creation of 774 in 774 local government, 774,000 by federal government is not needed. We need a functional local government, for God's sake, to stabilize the economy, to stabilize the country security-wise, to stabilize the country in any sense of governance. We need it.
A lot definitely needs to be said about this topic, and of course we would engage you more on the role the local government can play in flattening the curve. It was an interesting conversation I had with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
The need for transparency in engaging workers and policy implementation is essential for maximum productivity. That's the much we can take on this week's edition of Labour Lens. Join us next week as we continue to discuss the impact of coronavirus pandemic on the world of work and other labour matters. I am Sharon Ijatson. Always remember that labour creates wealth.